Hey, how's it going, folks? Let me get rid of this brand banner here because you know what? Our content has already started. So my name is Rosendo Pili. I am here from Major League Hacking. I've got a great guest ready for y'all today, Technical Sergeant Cloud from the U.S. Space Force. He's going to be coming online to talk to you more about the career opportunities that are available at the U.S. Space Force and just talk about a little bit about himself as well. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and bring him on stream for y'all. How's it going, Technical Sergeant D'Angelo Cloud?
Good. How you doing, Zlando?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. If you want, go ahead and feel free to introduce yourself.
Sure. Well, my name is Technical Sergeant D'Angelo Cloud. I'm from Kenai, Alaska, currently stationed here in Buckley Space Force Base. And I'm just happy to be here today for these opportunities and many more to come, hopefully, with the Space Force.
Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. Really excited to kind of dig in and, get a better idea of what it is that you do at the U.S. Space Force. But before we do that, really curious, you mentioned something about Alaska. I was just wondering, like, if you could just tell us a little bit about where you're from and, maybe where you went to school.
No, most definitely. So I went to Kenai Central High School and Cape Beach Elementary. So really good opportunities there. I do miss the small town environment. I'm from Kenai, Alaska, so there's about 10 to 15,000 people, and mainly a fishing town. So we did a lot of fishing, a lot of hunting, a lot of outdoor stuff, and then we did a lot of mostly everyone there worked on the gas pipelines and whatnot. So, I do miss it a lot. It's a lot different vibe than other places I've been to that are so much bigger, like Denver, with all the traffic and everything. I just kind of miss that slow town vibe. But yeah, that's where I'm from. So
that's pretty awesome. Just out of curiosity, I know I've never been to Alaska. I've heard that there are great vantage points to kind of see the stars there. There's not a lot of light pollution. Did that have any bearing in why you chose to go into the Space Force or your interest in space in general?
I think space was just, honestly, it's just something that you see every day. We just keep making improvements over and over and over again with how we can go, how far we can go, how far we can see. And so, coming from Alaska, seeing the stars, seeing the northern lights, seeing all the stuff that we see in space all the time and learning about it, it's just been a very interesting topic for me. So it did play some aspect into it. Yes, definitely.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm a little bit jealous. Here in New York, where I'm from, you can barely see any stars.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, you could see different types of stars, the ones that work on reality TV shows. But as far as actual stars in the sky are concerned, something that's a little bit more of a rarity. With that being said, I don't want to diverge off the actual topic too much, but I just want I'm pretty sure everyone watching is a little bit more curious to know about what you did prior to serving in the U.S. Space Force. Like what kind of jobs did you hold, and like really what led you to go down the career path and finally enroll in the U.S. Space Force.
Sure. So I wanted to join the military from the beginning. So I didn't know which branch I wanted to join. I just wanted to join the military. So that was always a aspect of mine. I went into I worked at Snug Harbor Seafoods. It's a small like cannery. So again, fishing town. So a lot of fish came home smelling like fish all the time. My mom would usually kick me out, tell me to shower and stuff when I came home. But after that, I worked at Walmart for a little bit, and then I worked at elementary school with some kids for about a year while I was waiting to get processed into the Air Force
Mhm.
before the Space Force was even a thing. So I did do that, and that's what kind of drew me in was I mean my dad was Army, my mom was Navy. My dad told me I wasn't going to the Army, and I didn't want to go to the Navy, so it kind of narrowed it down to the other two options, and I was like, yeah, I'd choose the Air Force over the Marine Corps for sure. So the kind of what that's what brought me there, and it wasn't an easy road. We had a couple difficulties. I had to lose 60 pounds before I got in, and I did that in 6 months, and was eating ice chips and dry spaghetti and all that. But I got in there, and once I got put into the military interesting processing facility, we were good to go after that. So I left about I want to say 4 months after I officially joined into the program. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, that makes sense. Like some of your earlier positions, you talked about like working in a fish restaurant. You're from a fishing town.
Yeah,
A lot
yes,
of that, yeah, a lot of that tracks for me. Coming from a military family, obviously that was like a big influence in your life.
sure.
Um, you mentioned not going into the Army, not wanting to go into the U.S. Marine Corps. Was there a reason why you chose the Air Force in particular? What did it have something to do with maybe some of the more like technical roles that were being offered there, or?
Definitely the more technical roles. I was looking for something in technology. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in general. I mean, obviously, a whole slew of jobs that you can choose in the Space Force and the Air Force, but I wanted to go mainly technology, and I think the Air Force had a really good transitions for when you do eventually have to leave the service and put up the uniform. They just had really good jobs that transferred very well into the civilian sector side of things.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Do you have like since you've been like in the military from the Air Force to the Space Force, do you have a favorite assignment that you've been tasked to do, or a favorite like place that you've been assigned to?
Oh, definitely. I would say my previous assignment, which was London, I was working for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or as most people know, NATO. And
Mhm.
so I
Okay.
was working for them at the Maritime Command. And so I was actually working for the Navy, being Air Force. So that was an interesting dynamic. I got to see kind of the other side of how other branch operates, and had a Navy commander and everything. And then we were also working with NATO. So we had 30 different countries that are within NATO that are all kind of in this building. So all these personalities, all these cool people you meet on a day to day basis, and it's cool that everyone brings in all these different foods from their countries, and the French, they'll bring in some cheese and kind of smells. We threw some away because we thought it was that it was going bad, and he was just like,
Mhm.
that was expensive cheese. And I was like, oh, but I mean, there's just all these different things that we learned from each other. We always ask questions about each other's cultures and stuff. So it was a really nice experience to have.
That's amazing. You mentioned something about the NATO and like being in touch with a lot of folks from different cultures. I'm sure that's not necessarily something that you got to experience a lot of, like growing up in a small town. Did you?
Definitely not.
That's awesome. So it must have been an amazing experience. What exactly were you doing in that assignment, and what made
Sure.
it so special to you?
Yeah, so not only was I, meeting cool people and also living in London, I think that was a big thing to live in just another country by itself. But
Mhm.
living in London, and uh, the hustle and bustle to see how another country operates, and then also I worked for the Navy, but for NATO's Navy, so we were able to go to different countries, and I was able to go on different nations' warships. So I got to see Greek warships, German warships, and Italian, just all these other ones. Spanish was another one. So we got to go to all these different countries, and work with the Navy. So of course we had to be in these beach destinations. So there was just a lot of nice hotels and nice scenery, and it was just really nice to experience all those different parts of of the world, and to see kind of how other nations operate their military in general, and to see how what their ships look like on the side and what they have in comparison to the American ones and the Canadians as well. So it was a really interesting and nice experience.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I could imagine just like, being exposed to all of those different cultures and different countries. And also at the same time, getting to see how your counterparts operate, in an
Yes,
entirely different culture. So
definitely, definitely.
that's great. That's amazing. I think, like as far as like your career is concerned, I can see why that's something that's interesting to you. You've been in the Air Force for, I'm just like, looking at your bio. You've been
Sure.
in the Air Force for, in the military, I'm sorry, for 8 years. You've had an 8-year career there. Um, what sparked your interest to transition from the Air Force over to the Space Force?
I I saw the Space Force coming up, and it was just in the news for a little bit. I didn't know much about it, but I was like, that's really interesting. And the more I listened to, they had like these Facebook live feeds that the Space Force leadership was kind of putting out. They were telling me what we're going to be doing and all these cool things, and I was just like, man, that sounds really interesting. I did a ton of stuff in the Air Force, and I was like, that was a lot of fun. I kind of want something new, and so the
Hmm.
Space Force just presented that opportunity to kind of give me that brand new feel to being a new branch. And my favorite thing is standing up a new branch from scratch. And I really do like the Space Force when we're talking about the leadership and how it's very, you have your top down leadership, and you also have the from the bottom up, and they do like ask us for our opinions on a lot of different things since we're such a new branch, like about uniforms, PT standards, how we want PT uniforms to look like, the emblems, our uniform rank. And so they do really reach out to the force and let us help develop what the Space Force is going to be for future Guardians. So it's really nice to have that.
That's awesome. You mentioned, future guardians. Just for context for anyone joining us there, like that's what we refer to the folks that are in the Space Force as, like they're referred to as guardians. And Technical Sergeant D'Angelo Cloud, he is actually a cyber detect operator. And like I think a lot of the folks that are watching right now, since they are joining us from a hackathon that Major League Hacking is currently hosting, maybe you could just give them a better idea of what it is that you do on a day-to-day basis as a cyber detect operator, and how that could maybe like relate to their aspirations to become technologists at a later point in time.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So but like I said, I'm from Alaska. The first place I went to was, of course, Texas for boot camp, and then I went to do my training in Mississippi, and then I was in Alaska at Elmendorf for 3 years. And during that 3 year period, I was actually on the first mission defense team. So kind of when they were just starting to build the more cyber side of things of within the military. And so it was nice to see how far we've gotten from where we were just kind of patching servers, to where we are now in the Space Force and in the Air Force, and the kind of parts to where we have monitoring tools where we can look at different alerts and to see what's going on, to see what different threat actors are doing on the network, to see if there's any adversarial presence on the network. On a day-to-day basis, we conduct reconnaissance missions. We do hunt missions, and we do survey missions. So we have all these different type of mission types that we do, and basically we baseline the network. And that's what a survey mission is doing. So we're looking to see the differences between the two different types of machines. So we'll baseline a machine one day, and then we'll come back to it a little bit later and look at the differences to see if anything has changed. That way we know what's normal. So if
Mm-hmm.
we detect any anomalies within that baseline, we'll be able to figure out the differences between the two. And then we do hunt missions where we get actual intel from our intel communities, or we will get intel from maybe open source as well. And so we'll kind of pull in and we'll look for our network for the different types of hashes or any types of threats that might be out there as well. And the for the reconnaissance mission, if we're going through, we have these alerts that we're looking at on a day-to-day basis. And if we look at those alerts and we find something, we'll initiate a recon to where we're trying to dig as deep as we can to look at the traffic to see what kind of to do some like deep packet analysis on what's going on in the network. So that's what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Very nice. So basically, it's a lot of mitigation for like host and network-based intrusions. I see that like I'm assuming you're also working with some equipment like that that is currently stationed outside of like the Earth's orbit. I'm assuming like satellites and even ground based radars, things of that nature.
Yes, yes, definitely. Yeah,
That's
so yeah, we definitely do that, and we interact with the second and the 11th Space Warning Squadron, and so they're the ones we do cyber defense for them. So
mhm.
when we go out there, they're the ones operating, doing the ground based radar stuff, looking at satellites, radars, and stuff like that. But it's our job to make sure that they have that capability and to make sure that they always have those 24/7 missile warning ops just ready to go. So
That's really interesting, and I think it's like it seems like a big job. You know, it seems like a really important job. Also, um, clearly you've been at this for a while, like, and you know your career has like been expansive. It's been since 2013, 8 years. What did you have to do to kind of get to where you're at right now in terms of like you know training or just maybe like climbing up the ladder within like within like the military hierarchy?
definitely, yeah. So it was a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication to it, and I think one of our um, ideals is commitment. It's just having that commitment to the military and to what the military can bring to you, but also what you can bring to it as well. And
Hmm.
so the military has a lot of great programs for people who are just coming in day to day doing like education, and they have medical benefits, and they have all these great things, and so they bring a lot of great stuff to the table. But it's what can you bring, and I try to do that every day, every job I go to, every duty station I'm at. I just bring 100% all the time. And when I'm looking at the my career in the past, it was just blessing after blessing, just going out to there, talking to commanders, doing the best I can at work, and then also jumping up to that next step of taking classes. And so we have the community college of the Air Force, and within the community college of the Air Force I was able to get my associate's degree, so that really gave me a leg up onto learning more about my job, leadership, a lot of different the basics with math and whatnot. And we got most of our credits from our technical training too, which was really nice. So it's nice that the Air Force has a college of itself that they are able to grant degrees for whatever job you're doing. So I think that's a really nice when we're talking about a career path and we're talking about things that we can do to better ourselves. That's one of the many things that the Air Force has to offer, and the Space Force as well.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of career progression involved. It looks like there's a lot of you know, consistently leveling up, which I know like the folks that are currently watching are probably very interested about in terms of their own career aspirations. With that being said, you know, like uh, maybe folks don't really understand how it is that the skills you're learning on a day-to-day basis may apply to something that maybe a civilian does on their in during their day-to-day job. Do you think that there's like an actual like civilian equivalent to the career that you currently have with the U.S. Space Force?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, it's almost a one-to-one skill set that you can transfer over. It's just, whether you're defending a bank network, or you're defending a company, or you're defending Air Force or Space Force assets, you're still looking at logs. You're still doing that packet analysis. You're still looking at the different kind of traffic that's going on. It's just about learning your network and doing so. As far as with cyber defense and this specific career field, you can definitely transfer that over one to one with anywhere you want to go. We get job offers all the time, even being in for all these private and public companies that want us to come over because we have a certain skill set of doing monitoring these logs, doing everything. So definitely that leg up, because definitely coming out of college, not only are you coming out of college with some sort of maybe debt if you are able to pay it off, you have your student loans, but also you coming out, you don't really have any work experience. So the Space Force and the Air Force is just a great opportunity for you to get that work experience and to have those degrees, and then you can come out to that civilian sector and you just look so much better because you have that work experience along with the degrees and the certifications.
Absolutely. You know, one thing I've heard echoed a lot in like some of the past Q and A's that we've done is the idea that there's a lot of on-the-job training and an on-the-job learning
Oh, for sure.
with the U.S. Space Force. Would you agree?
Oh, most definitely. And as soon as when I transferred from the Air Force to the Space Force, I thought I was just going to be doing my same job, just networking, routing, switching. And I got to the Space Force, and they threw me into this intensive cyber course. and I went in there. We were learning stuff that I didn't even know. Even having my bachelor's degree in networking, I was just like looking at the deep packet analysis, and we're looking at how networks work and how computers operate and how they talk to each other, and we're looking how you can call back with SSH and the kind of vulnerabilities are with all these hosts and computer systems. So there was definitely that training was for 3 months, and we just sat there and we just learned everything that you needed to know to be a defensive cyber operator.
That's awesome. So what I'm picking up is if anyone out there is interested in learning more about networking, if that's something that they're passionate about and they want to kind of like skill up in that skill set, the Space Force is a great place to do that.
Oh, most definitely, for sure.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm really I'm really glad to hear it. For the most part, I feel like I get the same idea from a lot of the folks that come on here to talk from the Space Force, that there's just a lot of opportunities to learn and a lot of opportunity to progress. And you mentioned like standing up a new branch. I feel like that's always something that a lot of people come and become very enthusiastic
Oh
about,
yeah.
is the idea that you're kind of getting in on the ground floor and like having impact in the long term.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And definitely between like the Air Force is a already established branch, and so they have recruiting opportunities, but we already have our recruiters, we have everything already set. But joining the Space Force, I've been able to do so many different like recruiting opportunities like this. Tomorrow I'm going up to Copper Mountain Ski Resort, and we're doing the Mountain Dew tour up there. We'll be recruiting there, and I also did the STEM to Space program with some of the kids talking about the Space Force and what we're doing. So there's just all these opportunities to sit there and kind of tell everybody about this new branch and all these new different things that are coming of it, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think outside of your day to day, you get to do cool stuff. You
Yeah,
get to do
yeah,
things that
definitely.
and yeah, I think that's that's probably the great thing about working for an early stage like organization, right? Like
Sure.
I know for a fact I work for a startup, so it's like my day to
Okay.
day may not necessarily be like exactly the same all the time, which is great because it cuts into like any monotony you may have at like
Sure.
a simple nine
Sure.
to five. Yeah. So
Definitely.
yeah. With that being said, we're just curious to know, like, you kind of like got into it a little bit, but what does your typical day as as a cyber guardian kind of entail?
Yeah. So my typical day is, like I said, we look at those alarms, those alerts, and we're just combing through all that data. And whenever we do get those log alerts, we'll go and investigate them, make sure that see if they're actual alerts, or to see if it's maybe something that's a false positive and it's something that's wrong within like our intrusion detection system, that where we need to like alter some of the rules or something like that. And so on a
Mhm.
day-to-day basis, we're just looking at that. We're conducting missions. We work 12-hour shifts, but we get 3-hour breaks, so it's not too bad of a trade off as well. So I mean, on a day-to-day basis, we're very busy, and as we know, the adversary is very very busy as well, so it keeps us busy.
Awesome. And during that time, you're working for you're segmented off into something called the Space Delta. We've heard a lot about it in the past. I was just wondering if you could kind of espouse a little bit more knowledge with regards to what that means.
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
Mhm.
So I work directly for Delta Six, and we provide cyber defense, or offensive defensive cyber to the entire deltas. And so for all the other 9 deltas, we're out there. We're making sure that we're safe and we're doing what we should be doing. Specifically at the 62nd Cyberspace Squadron, we are responsible for Delta 4, and that's the missile warning Delta. And so that's why we're at Buckley, and that's the 11th and the second space warning squadrons. So we're responsible for keeping them protected, because missile warning is such for one, an important thing for everyone, for not only the U.S. but for our international partners. And it's so important that we know what's happening around the world, and to detect launches, to see when things are going to go off, so we can give people the accurate times for when they should hide, run for cover, or to see where a missile is going to impact. And so if you don't have any of that, you kind of take yourself out of that battle space, to be able to have that the best knowledge as you can to make the right decisions.
Absolutely. And just to backtrack a little bit, I know we mentioned it before. It's like what you're doing is you're maintaining the host network that actually oversees these early warning systems that you're referring
Yes,
to, right?
yes, definitely.
Like I said, huge job, really important. thanks for that, by the way. But like
No,
also,
man, thank
yeah,
you.
thanks for letting us know a little bit more about it today. Um, so with that being said, I was just wanting to ask. We've mentioned having these early warning detection systems and how you oversee that and like just ensure the health of the network that those services live on. My question to you is, has there ever been a time when you or your team's efforts have denied like some sort of bad actors like kind of breaking into that network, or like a time where you've actually had to like keep the space system safe? Could you describe an instance of that, perhaps?
Sure. So when we're talking about deterrence and we're talking about different things, I think deterrence is the biggest word. Is to when you're looking at if you're a hacker and you're looking at a certain network and you can see the how hard it's going to be to break into a network. And if you're looking at a network that's always being monitored, that's always that they're always pulling logs, that they're always pulling network logs, that they're looking at the all the traffic that goes along on the network, and you have these baselines, and you have everything that you're doing. That's a big thing to deter an enemy, and that's what kind of keeps them away from to because they know it's going to be a challenge. They know they're going to get caught. They know that we're going to find whatever they're doing because we're constantly looking at the network and we're constantly looking at alarms and doing deep packet analysis to figure out what's going on our network.
Hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, so it's like just basically it's an around the clock job. It's something that has a very high priority, I'm sure.
No, definitely, definitely.
I'm 100% positive they don't just entrust these types of responsibilities to anyone. So I'm sure you're a very outstanding outstanding technical sergeant with the
Appreciate
U.S. Space
it.
Force.
Yeah.
We were talking about it earlier before we got on air. But yeah, just I was just curious to know. Like you mentioned that you've traveled around the world, and it also says here that you've been coined by 10 of your commanding officers. Could you go a little bit more into detail about what that means?
Yeah. So, I mean, throughout my time, I've been, like I said, Alaska was my first duty station there at Elmendorf, and I got coined by a couple commanders there. And being coined is just being lauded, or it's a token of appreciation for a commander for the efforts that you do. And so I was doing networking in Elmendorf, and then I went to South Korea, Osan Air Force Base, and I was coined there as well. And for my efforts with the satellite communications and the contingency operations, going down to figure out if something was to happen with North Korea, where we would be and what we would be doing to kind of maintain our command and control throughout that Korean peninsula. And then and when I was working with NATO, we had a lot of outages. We didn't have a lot of people there that could do the heavy networking side of things. So I was always doing the network side, building networks, engineering networks, doing different things for them, and they're really appreciative of that. And being innovative and building new things for for them and for anyone else too. And so I was very thankful. And then most recently, the Spock senior listed leader came down, and he was very impressed on what we're doing here at Buckley, and very impressed with my crew and what we were doing. He joined me as well. So it's been a really nice experience to get those coins and all those accolades to say, hey, you're doing a great job. I appreciate what you're doing. Here's the coin. So I'm very appreciative for that.
That's amazing. Basically, it's just like really high level recognition of
Yes,
your accomplishments and like the great job you're doing.
definitely, definitely.
Speaking of which, here's another thing. I feel like I'd be remiss in not mentioning it, but it says here that you received the President's Volunteer Service Award as well. Could you tell me a little bit
Yes.
more about that?
Yeah, it was just my time in Korea was I had a lot of fun, but I did wanted to do more than just have fun and do stuff in Korea. So
Mhm.
for every Monday, I was volunteering at a Korean orphanage, and every on that same Monday, I was volunteering teaching middle Korean middle schoolers English. And so that whole time I was there, I was just putting in that time, and it just added up to where it needed to be for that volunteer medal. And I had other times where I volunteered helping with the chapel at the church and different things as well. So all that encompassed with my time in Korea earned me that presidential nomination award. So I was very thankful to receive that as well.
That's pretty amazing, honestly. So what I've heard thus far, like in the last 30 minutes since we've been talking, you've traveled the world, you've worked with NATO, you've seen like the way other countries work in terms of like your military counterparts and the folks that have like your same position. So you've been able to experience all of these different cultures. you've gotten all these commendations with regards to like your accomplishments within the military. You were able to volunteer and get a commendation from the president, and now you know you're also, and you've also been able to go to school while you were in the Air Force and the Space Force.
Definitely.
Um, it seems like you've accomplished a lot in the last 8 years. What do you think comes next for you, like professionally? You know, like are there any other aspirations that you feel you have yet to cross off the list?
Yeah, so I think I earned my both my degrees within the Air Force, and it was really nice to earn a bachelor's degree and an associate's degree that was fully paid for through our tuition assistance program and the post 9/11 and the GI Bill. So it was nice to have all those programs to kind of jumpstart me to where I want to be. I
Mhm.
was thinking about maybe getting a master's degree now I'm in the Space Force because all the benefits are the same between the two, which is also really nice. So I was looking at maybe getting my master's degree, but also I'm coming up for a promotion here soon to master sergeant. So hopefully we'll see how that goes. But I'm definitely having high hopes to maybe getting promoted here soon next year or the year after. So
That's
that's
amazing.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. When it happens, check back in. Maybe we'll have you back on back on the program, and you can talk a little bit about your new stuff.
Oh, that'll be nice. That'll be
Yeah.
perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you also mentioned, like that you have like outside interests in terms of actually upskilling while you're still like in the U.S. Space Force. Could you tell us a little bit more about like the certifications you're going for right now and what it is that you're currently interested in?
Sure. I'm really interested in the cloud at the moment with any type of, the Microsoft Azure or AWS. So at the moment, I'm studying for the cloud practitioner certification from Amazon. So that's my goal right now to kind of get to learn more about how AWS works and to kind of see how we can tie that in with maybe things that we have around here with new contracts being awarded and whatnot. So it is part of our Air Force Cool program, which pays for certifications on top of tuition assistance, on top of your GI Bill. So it is nice to use like the Air Force Cool, so I don't have to pay for the cert when I do go to take it. I think we get about $4,500 for your lifetime to take any cert within your career field that you want to do. So it is really nice to use all those benefits without having to pay for it out of pocket.
That sounds great. So it's like you get to go to school, you get to pursue other interests outside of like what you may be learning within like your actual like curriculum.
Definitely.
Yeah, I could attest to it myself. I think AWS is great, and like it's something that I'm interested in as well. As far as
Okay.
like cloud technologies go, like it's great to hear that like organizations like the Space Force are perhaps looking into other solutions that are like very tech forward and just kind of future facing.
Definitely. No, it is. It's really nice. It is nice that we can use our technology in a more open fashion, and we can reappropriate different things. I was reading the other day that our Space Warning Squadron was able to help out with the California wildfires back in 2018 by telling firefighters where the hotspots were,
Mhm.
and they were able to put those out and kind of put those fires out. So we're repurposing a lot. We know what we can do with our own defense technology to see how we can help besides just defense and missile warning and all that. So it is nice that we can use a lot of open source people and also help different organizations throughout the world. So that is nice.
Yeah, that's great. It looks like like a lot of creative thinking is being encouraged, and just a lot of collaboration, not only within like actual like branches of the military, but with like civilian organizations as well. Like I'd never heard of that. I'll actually look into it. You said the California wildfires, and I'm assuming they were able to like use GPS in some way, shape, or form to kind of like detect those hotspots.
Yeah, they were able to use the satellites to look down and then to see the hotspots and to put those out. So really nice. I think it was really cool that they were able to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like it sounds like you've had a lot of great experiences within the Air Force and the Space Force at this point. Um, you know, Obviously you're a big promoter of it. Obviously, you're someone that you've come onto this program to kind of let us know, like what all the positive benefits are of joining the Air Force or the Space Force. What would you say to someone who was really on the fence, like just like not really sure that the Space Force is the place for them?
I think that you can't really beat the benefits that come with being in the military, whether it be the camaraderie that you get with working with people and to meet all these different people, or whether it be the knowledge that you'll gain from, maybe things that aren't public knowledge, and to see the different things that we can do, and the things that we're going to do here with the military, and with the Space Force as well. And so if you're on the fence of joining the Space Force, or any branch of the military, it's definitely really important that you know that you get education benefits, you get medical benefits, you get housing allowance, they take care of you, and that, I mean, that's the big thing. And we're working every day to make definitely the Space Force better. And they're reaching out to us, asking us, making us take surveys so they can know how they're doing as leaders, and to see how they can make the Space Force a better place for anyone who wants to come in. And so if you're hesitant, I think it's a great opportunity for job experience, a great opportunity for education, and a great opportunity as a stepping stone if you want to go somewhere else. But we are looking for people who also want to make a career out of the Space Force, because I mean, making a career out of this, and giving that commitment, giving that time, is what we're looking for. And whether you're doing defensive cyber or offensive cyber, we're looking for all those types of talents to come in, and to really tell us what we need to do, how we can fix things, how we can make things better. And so if you're on the fence, definitely within this hacking realm as well, you guys are a hot commodity right now, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of folks that are currently on the broadcast are probably thinking to themselves, what is it that I'm going to do with all the skills that I've been accruing thus
Sure.
far, in my journey through tech. And I think, what you said is like, it probably resonates a lot. You get to travel, you get to learn new things, you get certifications, degrees, anything that you could probably think of in terms of like upskilling. And
Yep.
also you get hands-on experience. You get to work with equipment, you get to work with systems that are really like affecting people on a day-to-day basis, which is, I think, like, it's probably invaluable in terms of being able to bring that back and look back at it at a later point in your career and say, like I helped to secure like this airspace and X number of people or get throughout my career.
Most definitely, most definitely, it is
That's
nice to
amazing.
have that impact.
Absolutely. um you know uh since you've mentioned it, like I was just wondering, where could people find, if they are interested, more information about your job and those like it?
So if spaceforce.com is going to be your best place if you're looking for jobs, or information about my jobs, or anything that Space Force has to offer. You can go there and you can see all the different jobs that we have, because we don't only do cyber, we do a whole massive amount of jobs. And so whether you're thinking about joining the Space Force or Air Force, anything like that, if you go there, you can see anything that we have to offer. And there's a wide range of things. So not just cyber, not just technology, but anything, especially within the STEM realm as well.
Awesome. So once again, it's spaceforce.com. Go ahead and look up any of the career opportunities that are available there. Once again, this is Technical Sergeant D'Angelo Cloud. He is a cyber detect operator with the U.S. Space Force. Really dropping a lot of knowledge on us today. Just like really, thanks so much for joining us. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you wanna say to the audience here?
I, for one, just thank you for your time. Thank you for the interview. I really appreciate Major League Hacking, reaching out and giving me this opportunity to speak. It's been really nice, and really, great recruiting effort for me and for the Space Force, so we can, kind of just spread the word to let people know that, hey, we're out here, we're a service, we're a thing, and we're here to do big things. And the only thing that we need is people. We need people who are going to come in and be committed to the Space Force, and who want to come in and also make the Space Force better. So if you're definitely, like you said, if you're on the fence, if you're really on the fence, but if you want to do something, that you want to feel a purpose, you want to know that you're part of a bigger a bigger grand scale of things, like, it is definitely the Space Force is the place to go. If you want to feel a little bit more fulfilled in your life, maybe, if you yeah. So thank you.
Absolutely. Once again, sounds like a great opportunity for anyone that likes to get hands-on with anything and just wants to upskill really vigorously in terms of what it is they're trying to do as a career. Um, just a quick comment from someone in the audience, neon underscore x18. Thanks for joining us, telling us that the talk was quite informative. So those are some more commendations for you,
Oh,
Sergeant Cloud.
thank you, Neon X14.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that being said, I do want to say thank you once again. And, hopefully you come back and the next time you're here, you're a master sergeant. And,
Yeah, thank you. That's the goal.
absolutely. Much luck to you and everything that you do moving forward. And really, it's been a pleasure having you here today. And for everyone that's still out there, like, listening and watching, thanks for joining us. Feel free to hit us up if you have any other questions or questions, or just hit up www.spaceforce.com if you have any more interest in learning about that. And don't forget that you also have the U.S. Space Force prize category that you can join in during the hackathon, the best space app powered by Space Force, and you could win yourself a solar powered battery pack. All right.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good day, y'all. Thanks for joining us.
You too. Bye.